Now, Victorian residents are breathing a collective sigh of relief with the state officially declared COVID-free. For the first time in almost 9 months, there are no active coronavirus cases in Victoria.
The final second wave patient, a man in his 90s, has now been released from hospital. Health authorities say the COVID-free status is a significant milestone, but are warning the community needs to stay vigilant.
We're joined now by Victoria's Premier Dan Andrews. Premier, welcome to the show. 6,500 active cases to zero. Yeah, that's a huge relief, and you're breaking records around the world, aren't you?
Well, look, it's a massive effort by every single Victorian. So many people have made sacrifices. There was a clear strategy. Everyone stayed the course, and that's why we can be rightly confident about what 2021 will bring. Yesterday's budget was all about moving to that economic repair phase, dealing with the really significant damage that's been done. But yeah, it should be a point of pride for every single Victorian.
OK, Premier, you've been warning the pandemic is far from over. We're still all waiting for a vaccine, and I guess in this stage of the pandemic, we don't want to be too complacent, do we? Where does that leave events like the Australian Open? Will you risk it? A lot of the tennis players, it seems, don't really want to go into quarantine.
Well, look, you've got to stay safe to stay open, and whilst we've had 25, hopefully 26 days with zero cases, that's not the same as having a vaccine against this wildly infectious virus. So we've got to find that balance point, and we've announced all sorts of opening up and easing. There's a real buzz around the city and state. Things are getting back to COVID normal, not normal as such. We'll have an Australian Open tennis tournament, we'll have a Boxing Day test, but they'll look different, they'll have to be different. And so, look, if you look at the rest of the world's on fire, so there will be quarantine for anyone coming to our city and state. There's just no way around that.
As there should be. But Premier, when do you see the Australian Open? Will it happen in January?
Yeah, look, I think the timing will be close to the normal timing. Those details are being finalised, and again, there's a lot of work goes in, many hundreds of hours of meetings to deal with all the fine detail so that we can have the tournament, but that it can be safe. We'll make announcements about that quite soon. But Tennis Australia's been working very closely with our health authorities. It's a big event. It'll happen, but it'll have to look different.
Okay, but players will have to quarantine, definitely.
Well, if you have, yes, Koshi, if you look at the rest of the world, you've got 250,000 cases a day in the US. Europe is not much better. Many parts of Asia are really struggling. So the last thing we're going to do, as important as a tennis tournament is, we're not going to jeopardise our coronavirus status by anything other than the highest standards. People will have to quarantine.
Absolutely understood. December 7, international flights due to return to Melbourne. Hotel quarantine will be restarted. How will it be run differently this time around?
Well, all the staff will work exclusively for us. There'll be no second or third jobs. We'll advance contact trace all of those staff, so to work out who they live with and to make sure that none of their housemates or family members are working in high-risk industries, like, for instance, private sector aged care. There'll be a rigorous testing process where people are literally tested. Not quite finalised yet, but there'll be multiple tests throughout the week for every single member of staff. It'll look different. It needs to look different. We've got to learn those lessons of the past, and we're really pleased to think that the flights will be able to arrive. Aussies coming back to Australia via Melbourne, via Victoria, will be able to happen again from December the 7th.
Premier, if you had your time again, would you do hotel quarantine differently the last time around?
Oh, look, I think that there's obviously learnings and lessons, and we've got a report coming down in just a couple of weeks, but none of us have the benefit of hindsight. None of us can go back and change things. All you can do is respond to the challenges you face, have a clear strategy, not be distracted by the loudest voices, have the courage of your convictions. And that's what Victorians have done. They've seen this thing off, but it isn't gone. It is still there lurking. There's a risk, there's a danger. There's no vaccine yet, and until we get one, there's going to have to be rules, and we're going to have to live our life differently in a COVID normal, not a normal.
Queensland border open. Happy about that?
Yeah, that's a fantastic outcome. I was texting with Anastasia Palaszczuk yesterday, and we're very confident that that border will be open. New South Wales is already open.
Yeah.
The South Australian border, we closed that temporarily. Hopefully we can have that open again soon. They seem to be getting control of the very challenging circumstances that they've been experiencing. But we want everyone to be able to travel everywhere. But of course, I'm obliged to remind Victorians that the best place to holiday this Christmas is in fact right here at home, and to spend up big to support businesses that haven't just had to deal with COVID. Let's not forget the devastating bushfires we had last summer.
Yeah.
So local holidays are the best holidays this summer.
So 0-0 today?
I haven't got my final report, but at midnight last night we had no cases on the board, so I anticipate another 0 day, which is another credit to the sacrifice of every single Victorian.
And good to see you out of the North Face jacket as well. What's happened to that?
What has happened to the North Face jacket?
You got to donate it to a museum?
I thought you might throw it on a bonfire.
No, Parliament today, so we have to wear a suit. We've got some old-fashioned rules. I'll put a tie on even later on.
All right, Premier, thanks for joining us.